Hello and welcome to another episode of the joestar podcast. This is episode 20, and we're going to be talking about uh, One Piece Film Red, and there's a little bit of um, Rick and Morty news we have. So we know that it's showing it had a hiatus, and so what's going to happen is it's going to come back on the 21st on a Monday, and well, it's American time, so in England it's between Sunday and Monday morning. And yeah, and it's coming back on the 22nd, 21st, and I can start re-talking about it from my 22nd one onwards. But anyway, on to the main topic. I was able to go and see One Piece Film Red. And I'd like to say spoilers just in case you guys haven't seen it or haven't had a chance to see it, or maybe you don't want to see it. And so you want to see it when it becomes DVD or something like that. Maybe you don't have enough money to go to cinema, and so you have to save and wait for it to come out on DVD, which is quite a pretty odd thing, especially with things happening in the UK. You can get a single ticket for around £12, but then when it comes out on DVD, it ends up being like £9.99, which I find a bit odd. But overall, let's get into it. So, for me, the movie felt more like a musical than a film. There was a lot of songs, a lot of singular songs that went along with it. I didn't mind the songs. Some of them made me a little emotional, and others were just pretty cool, and I could tap my feet along to it. Um, the songs were amazing. How she started off the show was quite cool, and it was pretty crazy. And it leads up to an insane battle. Um, I liked how Yuta and Luffy were childhood friends, and later on, it actually shows them how they met. So it was like Shanks came into Windmill Village for the first time with Yuta, who we know is not actually his biological daughter, but he found her in a treasure chest. But I'll get more into that a bit later. Um, and the games they played together were funny. Like, they played a meat eating game, and then um, she handed, and they had like a warthog behind them, and this was the main one, and they had to try and eat meat, and then by the time they finish it, just run off. And but Luffy got tricked because he would always want the orange juice or whatever the drink was, and then he would be the one getting hurt instead of Yuta. Um, it was cool. It was cool to see the Big Mum pirates. They this is for the dub people. They'd recently started and I believe almost finished Whole Cake Island in the dub, and it was lovely to see all of them. They had really nice costumes. Big Mum, instead of being in pink, was in blue, so now it's quite cool. And we got to see Kataguri, and it was pretty insane, even though we know that some pirates were part of her team went to go and collect her for Big Mum, and yeah, and her using the pirates to make notes was cool, and they tried to attack her, and then she was like, "We don't like pirates, but there's going to be something coming up that is the reason she didn't like pirates, but we'll talk about that a bit later." Uh, the first battle between the Straw Hats and Uta was cool, but it was really evil for her to put them onto the music note thing. Literally, even though um, we should be supporting the Marines because they're technically the good guy in the main series, the pirates um, are the worst, are the villains technically, and that's one of the reasons why Yuta doesn't like pirates. But we'll get on to that. Brooke peeking at Nami's panties was funny. Like most of the Straw Hats, they had occasional comical bits, like during battles, Frankie would fart. In this thing, when Brooke was trying to move, he would try to see Nami's panties and that sort of thing. Uta's powers were intense as they put everyone to sleep and or in another universe. Well, technically, they put everyone into one universe, and her main stage and stuff were dark, cloudy, and thing, representing her inside thing, and then the dreamland, or whatever we call it, is the world she wants people to be in. So it's kind of a controversy to say, this is the world we live in, let's make this world where everyone is happy and cheerful and all that. um, Also, small Beppo and Sunny were really cute. Technically, I know they kind of turn people more into dolls and stuff, but Sunny looking like that was pretty cute. um, Also, Kobe and Belmeppo teaming up with Bernamo, the door guy from Annie's Lobby with the horns and stuff, was cool. And Kobe also figuring out what Yuta's powers were was quite insane. And like, I didn't think people would actually figure out what her power was during that whole thing. Um, and them going into a like big library type thing to figure out what Yuta's weakness was cool, and Robin figuring out what Yuta's weakness could be was a nice touch, whilst the others protected her from other um like there were statues and robots, and other people had like different things. This is the thing, because the movies don't take place in the same universe as the not the same universe, but technically what the films are trying to do is they're completely separate from the story, but um there are certain things that are like, oh, this could be this or this could be this. Like in this scene, Nami had Zeus, and later on, Luffy uses a tiny bit of Gear 5. And so we don't know whether this is part of Wano or whether it's after the whole cake. Like, it's confusing. You have like the whole Charlotte family, and they're all perfect, and Big Mum hasn't fainted or anything, and now you're like, there's no Kaido or anything, so where could this have taken place? But it doesn't take place in the main storyline. It's just a side quest type thing that to make money. um, do, 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 learning about how Shanks left Uta on that island was sad. Like, even though he basically, what happened is he was like, oh, keep Yuta here and make sure she stays safe and all that sort of thing. Shanks' arrival to the island was great, and also learning about the demon was crazy. Tot Musica. What a great demon. What a great villain. He's the reason behind Yuta's powers. So she was able to sing and shout and that sort of thing. But Top Musica was the one who wanted to use her to be able to destroy either an island or a city or anything like that. And it was pretty sad when Uta took the straw hat, placed it in on top of Luffy, and almost stabbed him. And that's when Shanks arrived, grabbed the knife, and was like, "Hey, it's been a while." And the whole crew was there. Ben Beckman, and the Meat Eater, and Yasop. And it was pretty cool. The final battle was insane, as they had to get people from both sides to hit at the same time. Yeah, and like whilst this was happening, Yuta was trying to create the world more peaceful, and so she turned more people into like teddy bears and stuff. And yeah, and Luffy and his crew came along, and she had two of her imaginary things go like that, go like that, where it was as if it was like Roger's execution pose, and it was like starting her new age. And so she was like, we'll cut your head off to start my new age, which was quite actually a reference to how One Piece started. Kataguri showing up to help the redhead pirates was cool, but he was doing it mainly to save his sister. And so it was pretty cool to see him linking his powers with other people, and like how they actually fought with each other and that sort of thing. And each Straw Hat crew member connecting with a member of Shanks's crew was amazing. Like, we had Yasop and Usopp teaming up, father and son duo. You had Luffy and Shanks, and you had like Frankie, and you had Zoro and Ben Beckman, and all that. And Yasop and Usopp being connected was really cool deal, as they were father and son, and it was one of the most amazing things you could think of, as Usopp had never seen his dad. he had only ever seen his mum, and so he didn't really know what he was looking like and that sort of thing. And so he was really shocked to see what his dad looked like. And yeah. And Shanks and Luffy teaming up was amazingly cool. They had so many teams. It was two emperors linked together with same dream straw hat. Yeah, both been given the straw hat from Roger, and then boom, they combined to defeat Tot Musica and save Uta. And one of the best final battles in One Piece movie history, to be honest. I would say anime history, but some people might disagree and be like, this was better or this was better. But yeah, Luffy, he used Gear 5 for a little bit. I think a reason for that is because they didn't really want to spoil manga readers, as they might not have read as far as Luffy defeating Kaido with Gear 5. Yeah. Finding out Yuta came from a box of treasure was treasure the redhead pirate stole was cool. And no, now it's something else. And it was pretty weird. Like he was like, no crying on this ship and stuff like that. And I liked how it showed Roger and I assume Rayleigh. I only saw half of it because when you're in a cinema, you don't look at the whole screen. You look at a certain bit and you might miss it. And that flashing on could give Shanks the same sort of backstory, except for him not getting left. He went and did his own thing after Roger got executed. But he could have been found the same way Yuta was. And that's why I liked how it flashed to that. And I was like, oh my God, maybe he was found the same way. Although we do not know that much about Shanks. We don't know how he joined Roger's crew. We don't know. We know a little bit about his childhood. And yeah, the ending where Yuta saved everyone was amazing. And she rejoined her crew, I assume. I don't know if that is possibly true, but overall, it was pretty cool. Overall, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I would say it's one of the top 5 best One Piece movies and one of the top 5 anime movies I have watched. It's the second anime film I've watched because I watched Power of Us, Pokemon The Power of Us, and this was the second one. And overall, I really did enjoy it. I loved Shanks. There were some good things, and I got to watch it in dub, so I understood most of it. So I want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. There wasn't really much else except for the fact that, like, some people have joined the cast of Across the Spider-Verse, which has been moved from October 7th this year to another next year. So join me next week where we are going to be talking about Wakanda Forever. And Like I say every time, if anything else shows up, I will make sure I add to it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Bye.